Welcome to Money Metaphors, exploring financial concepts through stories and analogies with Jason Coddington from Coddington Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, we help families and small business owners like you navigate the world of finance. Our goal? To help you stress less and enjoy life more, all while leaving a lasting legacy. Join us for this journey where we explore the nuances of goal-based asset management, retirement, and estate planning strategies as Jason and his team draw from years of expertise and guest experts to solve the puzzle of effective financial management.
Welcome to the Money Metaphors podcast with Jason Coddington, your host. Jason, nice to be with you again.
Yeah, good to have me. Good to be here. Good to have me. Good to have me.
Good to have me.
Good to have me. There you go. So first, let's start. I'm a narcissist. We'll just start with that.
Well, that's the most refreshing, honest start to a podcast I've had in a long, long time. It's good to be with you, Jason. Last time in episode 1, we spent a lot of time getting to know you. I think maybe we should turn the focus to your business now and get a sense of your practice and who you are, and professionally speaking. So the name of the practice is Coddington Wealth Advisors. Remind us of the focus of your business.
Yeah, so our focus is, families and small business owners. And, we just want to help them become more confident in their financial, life, whatever that might be for them, their own objectives. And we want to do that. We do that through a trusted relationship with a financial advisor. And so, today with the internet, you can Google anything, or you can with AI, you can ask questions. But at the end of the day, you still, we feel, have a higher probability of achieving your goals through, a trusted relationship with someone who's going to guide you through that. And that's who we focus on. Well, that's what we do. And we focus on families and small business owners.
Yeah, there is no substitute for the human in the process. None at all. I'm curious, lots of financial advisors focus on families, but I want to turn my attention to your focus on small business. What's different about them, and what is it that attracts you to them as clients and potential clients?
Yeah, I think what's interesting there is I've been an enterprising individual. In high school, I started a auto detailing business, and then I also had an FFA project through school, our local high school.
FFA being Future Farmers of America, for those of you not don't understand.
That's right. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that. And so just kind of always enjoyed enterprise. I've always enjoyed business. And so I think that's why first it started there. And then, of course, my degree is in agricultural business. And so just, it's enterprise and business has always been important to me. And then I too am a small business owner. So some of the same opportunities and frustrations that I face as a small business owner, I also see that out in the community, and we want to be able to, if I can solve them for myself, or if I'm facing them, I want to find solutions. And if we could do that for other people, and I also, like every small business owner has their own story. I mean, they have, they started just like I started. It's just fun to talk. There's almost like a common language you have if you're a small business owner talking to another small business owner, and it doesn't matter the industry. You could be a restaurant owner, you could be, you could own a farm, you could have a retail shop.
Yeah.
You still have to pay rent, you still have to pay employees, you still have to, focus on profits. You have to, and that's all, you're dealing with all of those things. And so even though the business itself might be different, there's a common vernacular, and a common objective, and most people are doing it. There might be this thought that you're just in business, to make a killing. I said no. I think a lot of people are in business because they really like to provide value to others, and after a while, should it work out, it does grant you some flexibilities that not being self-employed does. I mean, so that's important. So that's why we play in that sandbox, so to speak.
As a small business owner yourself, you talked about the challenges of small business ownership. What are some of those challenges that are not only faced by you, but all those other small business owners?
I think one is taxes. I think taxes are a big part of, and when I say that, it's not necessarily it's not an issue having to pay taxes. It's just, it's if you're self-employed and, there's self-employment tax, there's payroll tax, and
Right.
and those are obligations you have to pay. But at the same time, if there's ways to, especially with income tax, if there's way through savings or, or creative solutions, to reduce the amount of income tax you pay, then that's more money back into your business or back to your family. And so that's one. Two is just, we see there's a book came out years ago called The E-Myth Revisited. And it talked about, how business owners start out typically with the craft, and in the book, they use an example of an individual that has a pie shop. Well,
Okay.
how it works out is, someone usually starts business with some skill they have. In this particular case, in the book, it's someone that can, bake pies. It might be someone that can mow lawns. It might be someone that has a skill set. And so they're really good at that skill, but then what they find out is they get into the skills themselves, and they're not focusing on their business. So, looking at things like, okay, well, I'm generating all this revenue. I'm generating revenue now, but now I don't have any more time. And so or I'm generating revenue, but I'm not keep making as much profit. And so we find is with most small business owners is that helping them to understand that it's very critical to spend time on your business, not just time in your business, because if all you're doing is spending time in your business, then you really just have a job, and so that's, I think that's another challenge. So just shifting the perspective.
I have been at various stages of my career a business owner, if you will, because I've been a freelancer and worked for myself. But the difference being for me, I always just worked for me. I didn't have a payroll to meet. I didn't have other, realities that I needed to face in terms of people who were working for me. And I imagine that makes a huge difference.
And the employees, you want to, and I think and that's a good kind of way to dovetail in talking about, some of the retirement plans that are available to, business owners, because, you want to save for yourself, but you also want to help take care of the ones that, are in your business, taking care of your customers, taking care of your business. You want to help those as well. And there's some unique, strategies and products out there that can help with that. Every business is different. For example, there's 401k plans, there's simple plans, there's, profit sharing plans. There's all these different types of retirement planning strategies, and, helping, if you just were a small business owner and say, I want to get started helping with my employees, there's about 6 or 7 different paths you can go down. And so helping clients decide what is the right path for them and their employees, makes sense. But yeah, the one thing too is, hiring good people, and by good people, that not only are focused on taking care of, clients, but at the same, or customers in this case, but this, also have a work ethic and some other, work ethic, empathy, those kinds of things, that's important. And there's, over the years in different aspects, working with different businesses, we've come to learn that there's kind of a formula for that, some things you should look for. And so, and I guess that's kind of one of the things we can talk about with our team. One of the things we look for in our team is, we were looking at it, and then I was reading a book, I don't know, a few years ago by Danny Meyer, who's the founder of Union Square, and it's called Setting the Table. And he has these 6 key, really emotional skills that an employee should have, or a person should have, and that basically makes them a great team member. And one is, kind optimism. So basically is their primary way of being is that they're just positive people. 2 is that they have a level of curiosity. So, they're very comfortable with always learning. So that's important. 3, of course, is important, is they have to have a strong work ethic. We can teach people to tell how to do a task, or, kind of, a client service system or apparatus or process, but it doesn't matter if there's not a work ethic there. So work ethic is important. A big one is empathy. So we want people to genuinely care about the situation. So, I think we've all been around people that are just, in it to make a quick buck. We really don't want people like that. So, and the last 2, self-awareness. So just, knowing what you can and can't do, and not, taking on more by taking off or biting off more than you can chew. So I think if you're self-aware as an employee, or even as a business owner, is knowing, what projects you can take on and complete successfully. That's important. I think there's one thing we learned, and we like to do this with our clients. We learned this from a strategic coach founded by Dan Sullivan. And, they call them the four referability habits. And one is do what you say, finish what you start, say please and thank you, and show up on time. And so if you can be self-aware and do those four things, that's in good. And then last and importantly is integrity. And that's being able to do the right thing, even when it's not in your self-interest. And so we do that. As advisors, we have that fiduciary responsibility anyway. But, when we hire people or we look at our team, that's what we're looking at, is to, kind of copy that model that Danny Meyer had set out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And how many people are on your team, Jason?
So there's myself, and then there's 3 others. So we have Mark, who is our operations manager. He's the one that scheduling appointments, taking care of, transactions, helping with transactions for clients. And then we have Christine, who is our client concierge. And so anything client related, whether it's, just taking care of whatever it needs to be taken care of, preparing for new meetings, if that's the case, or, you have something that needs to be FedExed or overnighted, whatever it might be, we help you with that. And that's Christine's focus. And then Matthew Credit is a new addition to the team, and he is a associate financial advisor. And so he assists me in all the analytics of the financial planning part, and portfolio construction. And so with that team and myself, we strive to provide a valuable service out there, in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and at the same time, one of the things I think we do, we meet weekly and we talk about things that work, things that are working, things that are not working, and things we like to add. And we do that. And it's almost like it's like chasing the horizon, because it seems like, when you're working on your business, there's not, or working on providing a better customer service experience. It's never ending. You always want to try and do better.
You sound like you really believe in the concept of an honest debriefing, so that you're constantly examining your process and asking yourself, what could we have done better?
Yeah. And that's I've had to learn that over the years. I didn't start that way. After doing this 27 years, you start to learn that, you don't have it all figured out.
Well, that's reassuring to know that you can learn from your experience and from your mistakes. That's great.
Yeah.
Actually. So if I come to you as a client, whether it be as an individual with a family, or I come to you as a small business owner, what can I expect from working with you and your team?
Well, you can expect, one is that we're gonna care about your goals. So, and I would say that's probably number one. If you have to be headed somewhere for us to be of value to you. Mm-hmm. So people are like, what do you mean by that? And so, like, we wealth management. So some people think, oh, we just manage money. Well, we do, but it's, wealth isn't just about money. Wealth is about, I'm sure it's maybe how you measure, but we don't see it that way. Perhaps we see it a little bit different, because wealth is really, in our opinion, is the ability to be happy in sharing and caring and being with those that you love, and care about. And so you don't have to have a lot of assets to do that. You need to plan, and you need to have some resources. So I guess the point I'm trying to say there is that if you were to come to meet with us, it's very important that, you have a place you're going, or a place you would like to be, a goal or an objective, and we can help you. If it's just get me the highest rate of return for the least amount of risk, we're not going to be a good fit. I think that's what people can expect from us. And I think, you'll find that we do ask a lot of questions in our first meeting, just to understand where we're headed, because we think it's critical. And we talked a little bit about goal-based asset management last time, and in order to make sure that assets or portfolio or the strategies in alignment, we need to know that we have the right objective. So asking a lot of questions is important.
My first meeting with you, I assume, is a sit down where, I guess for lack of a better way to put it, we kind of get to know each other and decide whether we're a good fit for each other.
Exactly. You'll have a good idea of whether, you want to, if you want to work with us. And, quite honestly, we'll probably be deciding if we want to work with you. I mean,
that's honest. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, a lot of it's going to be it has more to do with the intention, because it's going to be hard. We like to ask clients this question. Again, we got this from the Strategic Coach, which is a good resource for small business owners if they're listening. We ask this question in most of our first meetings with clients. It's like, if we were to be sitting here 3 years from now and you were looking backwards on your progress, what would have to happen in those 3 years for you to be happy with what would happen? And if you can answer that question, we'll try and find a way to help you. And, 9 times out of 10, we're able to do that. Sometimes it's, I'd like to double my net worth. And again, this is that whole awareness.
Yeah.
Is like, well, in 3 years, we probably wouldn't be able to do that. So,
Well, if you were able to do that, you would be pretty unique. Okay.
Yeah. Right. But you get the idea. I mean, we want,
No, I understand. Exactly. But what if I sit down with you? What if I sit down with you, Jason? I come in and say, look, I don't have a lot of money, but I know that, I'm just going to make up a scenario. I just got married. My wife is working. I'm working. And we just sort of need help getting priorities and goals in order.
Yeah. And so that's great. So after asking you that question of where you'd want to be in 3 years, we would then start into kind of laying out, what aspirations, what goals do you have for your financial life? And so in this particular case, we would ask, questions about, retirement. Obviously, just being newly married, they may or may not have children, but if they don't have children, then, college education isn't immediate. We'll ask them questions about their feelings about, what happens in the event of a premature death, an untimely death to either one of you. How do you want the other to, and that all changes as life goes on, because when you have different, you have children, that changes. But we kind of go through a questioning situation, or a session, if you will, of just, a dialogue of where would you like to be? And then we kind of step back and say, okay, what resources do you have now? And so, and basically we'll go through and look at, okay, well, based upon your goals, you have certain resources. And the way we like to frame it is, you basically will have 3 things in your financial situation at any given time. You're going to have opportunities that you're going to want to take advantage of. You're going to have threats or dangers that you're going to want to reduce or eliminate. And you're going to have stuff you're doing already good, things you're doing already well, such as, maybe you already have a cash reserve, or maybe you're already saving. And if there's strengths, things you're already doing well, we want to help you keep doing those or enhance that. So if we filter the lens through, where are your goals, where are you headed, what threats are keeping you from that, what opportunities do you see out there, and what are you already doing well? And then we kind of filter it through that. And then from there, we kind of lay out a game plan. And one thing I will say is, especially if you're new getting started with us, we really advocate for having kind of a 3-month cash reserve. If you're a young family, if you're a young high, if you're just starting the workplace, or if you're newly married, we really want you to, have that goal dialed in before we really work on significantly on another goal. Of course, if you have a retirement plan at work, we'd want you to start that. But, you're getting that. We found that foundational over the years. We found that having that cash reserve is just absolutely foundational. And COVID taught us that less than 65% of Americans have 1 month of savings, in their bank. And that's just not sustainable. I mean, that's just not good. So we honestly, if you come into us and say, Jason, we don't have our cash reserve, we'd like to work on it, we'd actually have you focus on accumulating that before even hiring us to help you. We'd want you to do that first, then come back in 6 to 12 months or however long it takes you to save it. And, then we can have a conversation, because we feel we're just that passionate about that cash reserve, because it just protects everything else. Life throws you curveballs. You get a flat tire, the washer and dryer go out, a pipe breaks, and the way to keep you out of debt is to have, or reduce the debt that you have, is to have that cash reserve. So it's so foundational. So spend a lot of time beating that up. We'll probably have a podcast on that. But anyway, that's
you can have a year podcast on
it. Yeah. But I think that's where if you were to say, what would you get from the first meeting? You're going to get that honest feedback about the future that you want to plan. And we'll give you, then from there we start. And then, it probably leads into what the next meeting would look like. And that's where we would take a look at, plotting a course for you to, achieve your goals. And, I think, and I don't remember the stat on this, but, it's like when these pilots have a flight plan, right? They have a flight plan, but I think over 90% of the time they don't follow it exactly. But I don't think I want to get on a plane with a pilot that doesn't know where he's going, right? So
exactly.
So even though it's not going to be exact, I mean, when you're 28 years old and you're newly married and you're starting to plan for retirement, a goal that's, plus or minus 40 years away, it's not going to be exact. But the fact that you plan increases your odds for success, and that's important.
Yeah, no, that makes tremendous sense. Just while we're talking about this, what do new clients need to provide you? Like if they come in for that first meeting, do you want them bringing in statements and stuff, or is that a second meeting kind of thing?
Yeah, ideally, the more we can do in the first, it's our first meeting's complimentary. So get what you can out of us. So the more you bring, the better. So we would want, investment statements, life insurance, copies of life and insurance contracts, or just bring it in and we can copy it for you. And some of these things too, if you have a scanner at home, which more and more people do, or I think you can even do it on your phone. We have a service that we use through a company called Right Capital, where you can upload your documents and we can do your financial plan right in there. And then ultimately, there's ways to have your, all of your accounts linked into one secure place where we can see the activity and give you guidance on that. But the first meeting would be what's most important is, and we have a checklist we can provide clients. It's a questionnaire that kind of goes through what their life goals are. And, those change as you go through life, right? You're not necessarily planning for college education if your kids are already out of college. You might be interested in, estate planning, retirement planning, and charitable giving for example.
Yeah.
So it's every life stage is different, but we like to have clients complete that before they come in, and they can do that. We have a service that lets them do that electronically, where we see this kind of the results from that prior to the meeting, so we're prepared. Or if they just want to bring it in, we go through it together. But statements are nice, and then that a list of goals which we will send out to the client ahead of time, and we spend our time there. And then really you're not going to be asked to buy a product, on that first meeting. You're going to learn about our services and our pricing structure and how we work with clients and our service model, how frequently we meet and what that looks like. So you'll learn that all in the first meeting. And then if we do decide to proceed in the second meeting, we'll come back and say, okay, here's what we found, and here's where we would start. And here's some things to consider. And I think I mentioned to you in the first podcast, one of my hobbies is backpacking, and so this second meeting is, really like trying to fill out an application. If you're going to hike in the national parks, you have to have a permit. Yep. And so you kind of have to plan your route. And so this second meeting is really planning your route. We will help you do that and what to focus on first. And then from there, we embark on the journey together towards the family's financial objectives.
How do you get new clients? Well, we're talking about new clients.
So the way we get new clients are largely by referral. So word of mouth, we do good for others and they like the service and they refer clients to us. We also work closely with attorneys and accountants. So we obtain clients through those relationships as well. And then we do educational events throughout the year. And so if you happen to attend those, whether it, be, at a local venue, or if it's a webinar, people attend those and, then schedule a meeting from those and come in and see us. And that's how we generate our new clients, but largely by referral. Oh, word of mouth is really important. That's great. Actually, I always think more people that when someone recommends someone to me because of their experience, I always find that really valuable. Yeah. And it's no different. You eat at a good restaurant and you say, oh, you should try this restaurant. Exactly. You typically go try it. So, and a little bit more, and with finances, it's a little bit more particular. You go to a restaurant and you don't like it. It's not the end of the world, but with a financial advisor, you want to make sure that you're with a trusted individual. Yeah. I want to underscore that because I think it's really important that, this relationship is an important relationship. And you should feel connected to them, whether it's with Jason or with anybody else. And when you sit down with your financial advisor, because there is a lot of transparency here about issues having to do with money that, you typically aren't always so transparent about with everybody in your life. Yeah, it's intimate. Yeah. And of course, everything's in confidence. Nothing, it's all should go without saying, but we're going to say it when you meet with us. It stays in the four walls.
No, that's great. And let's presume for a moment that there might be some people listening to this podcast who are not already clients of yours, but maybe based on this conversation, want to explore it a little further, get in touch with you. How do they do that?
The best is, to call us. We'll still answer the phones here. I know that's a day and age where phones aren't answered anymore, but you can call us directly 559-897-0040, or they may email us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can text that same number, that 559-897.
What's your email, Jason?
Jason at CoddingtonWealthAdvisors.com.
Fantastic. Well, that's great. This has been an interesting episode, getting to know your business a bit better. What are we going to talk about next time we get together?
So next will be college education, and we have a little bit of a twist on that. And we're going to talk about saving on the cost of college, not just saving for college. And so that will be the next topic, and we'll have a guest joining us for that as well. So that will be good.
Very good. Well, fantastic. Thank you for your time today, Jason. Really appreciate it. And listeners, thank you for taking the time to listen. We hope you found this as interesting and as useful as at least I did. If you're not a subscriber already, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't have to remember that, Jason's got a podcast that comes out this way, if you're a subscriber, it gets delivered to you and you don't miss an episode. If you like the podcast, we would humbly ask you to give it a rating and maybe share it with others so that they get to know about Jason in his podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. I'm Bill Tucker, and for Coddington Wealth Advisors, we want to thank you and remind you that there is no need to wait. Go out and live your best life today. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Money Metaphors, exploring financial concepts through stories and analogies. Visit our website at www.coddingtonwealthadvisors.com or give us a call at 559-897-0040. Don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available.